are live.
Hare Krishna. On behalf of ISKCON Sydney Temple, Shri Radha Gopinath, Bhagavan, we welcome you to this evening's lecture, where we are looking at the different cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam in a story form. And today and tomorrow, we will look at Canto 1, chapters 16 and 17. Before we begin, let us offer our humble pranams to Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagavan and let us sing Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Giri Varadhari Jaya Yashodhanandana Jaya Bhaja Janiranjana Jaya Yashodhanandana Jaya Bhaja Janiranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadrama Jaya Gauranita Jaya 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 Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jai Srimad Paramahamsa Parikshit Ashtotra Shri Srimad Avecharana Arvinda His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Srimad Paramahamsa Parikshit Ashtotra Shri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल। Hare Krishna everyone. Once again we welcome you to this evening's lecture themed on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapters 16 and 17. Let us offer our prayers and Mangalacharan and then begin to hear from chapters 16 and 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Let us do the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam ena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakantitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha. Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bhutay Mahadbiyai Ma Puro Vibhu Nirmaya Shete Yadamushu Purusha Bhunte Gunamsho Dashashodasatmaka Solam Krashishta Bhagavan Vachamsime. Shri Krishna Sharanam Sharanagatam Katha amritam satatapibatam bhakti vedanta margapantanam sarvaloka rishi deva janna prasannam sarvaloka rishi deva janna prasannam. Hare Krishna. So today we are looking at chapter 16 from Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is titled How Parikshit Maharaj Received the Age of Kali. So this chapter begins with Sutta Goswami speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya. So we know how Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Sutta Goswami to the sages of Naimisharanya, and then thereafter we see how Shukdev Goswami, who was present there, who heard it, and then he narrated it to Parikshit Maharaj. So here, Sutta Goswami begins by saying to the sages of Naimisharanya, O learned Brahmanas, Maharaj Parikshit began to rule over the world as a great devotee. So he was a Mahabhagavata, means a great devotee of the Lord who had all the wonderful Vaishnava qualities. And he was completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna. So as Maharaj Parikshit ruled over his kingdom, there were some different incidents that took place that leads us to today's story form of chapter 16. And that is what we will hear. What happened when Maharaj Parikshit was ruling his kingdom. So before we go into more details, when we say the great qualities of Maharaj Parikshit, so we will rewind a little back. We will go to chapter 12 of Canto 1, where we see about the birth of Parikshit Maharaj. So we know that when Maharaj Parikshit was in the womb of his mother, Mother Uttara, who was the wife of Abhimanyu. And who was Abhimanyu? He was the son of Arjuna. So when Maharaj Parikshit was there in the womb of Mother Uttara, at that time, once Ashwatthama, who was the son of Dronacharya, he released the Brahmastra weapon in order to take a revenge against Arjuna. And at that time, Mother Uttara ran to Lord Krishna and she asked for protection. So at that time, the Supreme Lord gave his personal protection to Parikshit Maharaj, who was a little baby in the womb of Mother Uttara. So through his Vishnu form, who is present in everyone's heart, he showed his beautiful darshan and he protected the fetus from the blazing fire and the heat of the Brahmastra weapon. And since he was protected by the Lord himself, Lord Vishnu, Parikshit Maharaj also has the name of Vishnu Rat. And when he was born, now the sages or the Brahmanas, they foretold many wonderful qualities of Maharaj Parikshit. What will he be like when he grew up? So they said that he will be just like King Ikshvaku, that is, who is the son of Manu, in maintaining everyone. And then they went on to say many different qualities. And in following the Brahminical principles, he will be just like Lord Ram. Because we know that Lord Ram was Maryada Purushottam, who showed exemplary character in his human form. And so Maharaj Parikshit will also display those qualities. And he will be a great donor of charity. He will spread the name and fame of his family and his ancestors. He will be as strong as a lion, and he will give shelter like the Himalayas, that is protecting everyone in his kingdom. And he will be as forbearing like the earth, because we know that the earth, Mother Earth, shows great tolerance, and no matter what we do, she tolerates everything. So Maharaj Parikshit will be like that. He will be a great archer like his grandfather Arjuna, and he will have an equanimity of mind and always very peaceful. He will be very patient, and that he will be a staunch devotee of the Lord. And they also said that he will be as good as Lord Krishna in following in his footsteps. So, understanding that Maharaj Parikshit was a king of such exemplary character, now it is no wonder that he is going to protect everyone in his kingdom. So, now we will see what happens. So now we come back to chapter 16. So Maharaj Parikshit, he married his cousin sister, whose name was Iravati, and she was the daughter of King Uttara. Now it's interesting, isn't it, that Maharaj Parikshit's mother's name was also Uttara, but this is his maternal uncle, who was also named as King Uttara. And then they had 4 sons headed by King Janame Jaya. And Maharaj Parikshit, he accepted Kripacharya as his spiritual master, and he constantly took advice and guidance from his spiritual master. So this is something that we can all learn. No matter where we are at in our life's journey, we have to constantly take the guidance from our seniors, from our gurus, from our spiritual master. Only then we can constantly keep ourselves in the right direction. Otherwise, it's very easy for us to sway here and there. But then when we are always taking guidance from our gurus, then we know that our intellect is on the right path. So Maharaj Parikshit, he also performed many great sacrifices. So it is said that he performed 3 Ashwamedha sacrifices, or the horse sacrifices. These were all done by the kings in those days. And at that time, even the demigods personally came there. And throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, we see how the demigods even appeared on the earth, and they gave their darshan to the common people out of their own compassion and mercy. So if we just want to see, the demigods or God or Lord Shiva or Lord Ganesha or Goddess Saraswati, it's impossible. But through their mercy, whenever they are always present. So when they are present, they reveal themselves to us. So once when Maharaj Parikshit was on his way, he was going to conquer the world along with his military armies. And at that time, on the way, he saw a low-class person. Now, we might be wondering, why are we using these words, low class? What is all that? In ancient India, we had the Varnashram system. That is, Varnas means the different classes. That is, the society was divided into different classes based on their occupations. So the Brahmanas would be, priests, so they would serve the Lord and they would impart knowledge and education. The Kshatriyas were warriors, so they were very brave and they displayed qualities of bravery. So they were engaged in being protectors of the kingdom. And then we had the Vaishyas who looked after agriculture or business. And then we had the Shudras who were laborers or who would assist everyone in their service. So in one way, no one is actually superior to another. It was a beautiful system where everyone supported each other. So the kings would take care of the people under them. The people would serve them, and the brahmanas would offer the worship. In turn, they were also serving. So everyone had this mode of servitude. And that is why this varna and the ashram refers to the different stages of our life, from brahmachari to grihasthashram, where people accept a family life, and then vanaprastha, where they move into a retired life, and then sannyas, or when they renounce. So all these systems were in place to give a structure to human society so that we can all serve the Supreme Lord together with the right framework of mind. So as Maharaj Parikshit was walking, he saw this low-class person, Shudra, who was dressed like a king. So that itself is a little bit tricky there. You know, he was dressed like a king, which means he was pretending. And who was this pretender? It was the master of the Kali Yuga. So he was the Kali personified. Now we know that there are different yugas, or the time. So we have the Satya Yuga, then the Treta Yuga, then the Dwapara Yuga, and then at the present age where we are all living in is called as Kali Yuga. So this was the master of this Kali Yuga, Kali. And what was he doing? He was hurting a bull and a cow. And that is really very sad, because these two animals, the bull and the cow, they are very sacred. And later on we will see what did the bull represent and what did the cow represent? And why was this Kali, he was hurting them? So there is a deeper philosophy to what we are hearing today. So before we go into what did the bull mean or what did the cow represent, we will also see how the bull and the cow are very important for our society and why we should take care of them. So the bull is considered as one of the most important animals that helps in agriculture, in plowing the land, and therefore it produces grains, which sustains everyone through food. And the cow gives milk, and milk is considered to be one of the very important products that contains all the different vitamins. And milk is very important for humans to consume, and it helps in their physiology. So it helps in their brain development. It helps in nourishing them with good strength and with a good capacity to think and with good knowledge. So these two animals are considered very sacred. And not just because they support us and they give us all this, but Lord Krishna has said that we have to be compassionate to everyone, no matter who they are, whether they are humans or animals or, an insect or a cockroach or a spider or the birds or the trees or whoever it is. We have to be kind and compassionate to them. So Srila Prabhupada explains that in this age of Kali, these sublime qualities are deteriorating or they are disappearing. So that is what we see in this chapter. What is this person Kali is doing? So now Shaunak Rishi is asking Sutta Goswami. So we know that this is a conversation. So Shaunak Rishi is asking, now Parikshit Maharaj, on seeing this Kali hurting the bull and the cow, he wanted to punish them. So Shaunak Rishi is asking, why did he simply punish the personified Kali instead of killing him? What is the reason for that? And also, please describe these incidents if they are relating to Lord Krishna. So, now this is a very important point for us. So, when we talk or when we hear anything that is relating to Krishna, then it becomes valuable. Then that becomes purifying. That gives us joy. That gives us pleasure. That gives us happiness. That gives us, all that we want in this world. The minute we have Krishna out of our life, then it's not really a great life. Then we are just a zero. Then we see that, everything is going wrong, something or the other is happening, things don't fall into place, there's worries, there's just so many different things happening that we just can't handle. So Shaunak Rishi is asking, please explain to us if these incidents about the Kali and, what he did to the bull, because, there is a little bit of negativity there as well. So he's wondering, we don't want to hear all that. We want to hear if it's relating to Krishna. So then we see how even this narration of how Maharaj Parikshit received the Kali is related to the topic of Lord Krishna. So Sudha Goswami then goes on and he continues the story. He says, what happened? So once when Maharaj Parikshit was residing in the capital of Kuru, of the Kuru kingdom, the symptoms of the age of Kali started manifesting. Now, what are these symptoms? In the age of Kali means, Srila Prabhupada explains, it is mismanagement and quarrel. So people are constantly fighting with each other over something or the other. And what are the four main things that leads to this? It is illicit connections. That is anything that is, out of the ashram system. So illicit connections with the opposite sex, meat eating, gambling, intoxication. So these four are the main symptoms of the age of Kali. And this in turn is the root cause of all our suffering. If we go back and if we rewind and if we see, what went wrong in our life at some point, in some way or the other, it will be linked to one of these four things. So we have to carefully guard ourselves from the impact of these symptoms. But how do we do it? And that is why Srimad Bhagavatam is there to teach us how we can release ourselves from these symptoms. So when Maharaj Parikshit saw that, this was happening in his kingdom, he immediately wanted to put a stop to it. He wanted to curb the whole thing. So he took his chariot and he took his bow and his arrow and he started going. Now, as he was traveling, as he was going around his kingdom, he heard some wonderful narrations about Lord Krishna. So there were people who were, speaking, who were chanting the glories of Lord Krishna about all his leelas, his pastimes. And then they also spoke about Parikshit Maharaja's ancestors. So who were there? All the Pandavas. So about them. And then the people also spoke about how Maharaj Parikshit himself was personally protected by Lord Krishna. So in turn, Maharaj Parikshit, who was so happy and jubilant to hear about these topics, he also gave them different gifts. So this is another beautiful point. It is said, there are 6 exchanges of love. So dadati pratigranati. So we give we give beautiful gifts to others and we receive gifts to others. We give them prasadam or food and we take prasadam. And then we share confidently. We speak our mind, our heart, anything that we have. And we also hear confidentially. We also hear confidentially from others and we share and we reveal our heart. So all these things are exchanges of love between different people. So we see how Maharaja Parikshit, he gave beautiful gifts to all the subjects of his kingdom. Now, as this was happening, Maharaja Parikshit, on hearing about Lord Krishna, his devotion for the Lord increased in his heart. So even though whatever was happening around in his kingdom, it did not disturb him. As he was hearing these narrations, he was feeling very blissful and happy. And as he was traveling around, now he then saw this incident. So what happened? There was a bull that was wandering around. And who was the bull? The bull was Dharma, or he was the personality of the religious principles. So he was Dharma personified, who was in the form of a bull. And the bull, he met a cow. Now, who is this cow? What did the cow represent? The cow represents the Mother Earth. And the cow was grieving. She was so sad and she had tears in her eyes. And it looked like, she had lost her child. And she had lost all her beauty. And she was literally, in a very sad state. So on seeing that, the bull asked some different questions to the cow. So Dharma, or the personality of the religious principles. Now, what did he ask? He said, Madam, can we see how he's respectfully addressing the cow? He says, are you not hale and hearty? Are you not happy? Why are you covered with so much grief? What is happening? Your face is so dark. And it looks like you're suffering from some kind of an internal disease. Or are you thinking of someone who is living in a very far away place? Or are you thinking of Lord Krishna who has left this world? So he's asking different questions to the cow. And here in this verse, Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful explanation. So Mother Earth was actually unhappy here. If we see, that is, a cow represents the Mother Earth. And what does it mean? So the people of this world are all so unhappy in this age of Kali. And it is said that just by looking at the very face of a person, we can make out the index of their mind. What are they feeling? Are they peaceful? Are they happy? Or are they just, doomed? Are they just, suffering from something? So Srila Prabhupada then also explains that families are split around this world. People are living in different places. And they are feeling that separation from their loved ones. There's no one to care for people. There's no one to give their love and affection. And these are all some of the important factors that make people really unhappy in this world. And they are all full of anxieties without a sense of direction. So Dharma, or the bull, is now talking to the cow, and he's saying to Mother Earth, and he's saying, I have lost 3 of my legs and I'm standing just on one. So it is said that dharma or the religious principles, now they stand on 4 pillars or 4 legs. What is that? Austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. So when there is an imbalance in following these 4 important principles, then there is a disturbance in the society. And that is what is happening here. Now, with the onslaught of the age of Kali, these beautiful principles are slowly diminishing. So the bull was saying that he's standing only on 1 leg. So later on, we will also see how that in Satya Yuga, all these 4 principles were in fullness. They were complete. They were 100%. And then in Treta Yuga, what happened? It was lost by 1/4. So at least 3 were maintained. And then in Dwapara Yuga, it was halved. So half of the religious principles were gone and only half were maintained. And in Kali Yuga, 3/4 is lost and only 1/4 is present, and which is also slowly diminishing, sadly. So now the bull is speaking to the cow and he's saying, are you lamenting for my state of existence? Are you worried that, I have lost my 3 legs, that all my, these religious principles are lost? Or are you in anxiety because, the meat eaters, they are going to exploit you? Now, that is what is happening in the world, isn't it? People are, very, very ungrateful to Mother Cow, to nature, and they are hurting them. They are slaughtering them in slaughterhouses. And all this is leading to so much of imbalance in the society. And then we have a virus that has come about from the wet market, and look at what havoc that has created in the world. And we can all clearly see it with our own eyes. But still people are not willing to change. And that is why it is important for us to share and spread the message of Srimad Bhagavatam so that people can hear and learn and then change. So then the bull is asking, are you sorry because the demigods are not receiving any sacrifices, they are not receiving any offerings? Or are you grieving because there is famine and drought? And then he's also asking, are you feeling compassion for the unprotected women who are so unhappy, and even the children? So that is another important point that we see in the age of Kali. It is said, according to our Vedic culture, a woman is constantly under the protection of someone, under the protection of her father when she's a child, or under the protection of her husband when she's married, or under the protection of her son as the mother. But sadly, in today's world, because the men are, not really fulfilling their responsibility, because they're not displaying these wonderful qualities of, of having an exemplary character, what is happening? We see so many divorces around the world, and it also contributes to the women's behavior as well. So both. And because of all this, what is happening? Women are unprotected. So these are some of the very sad issues that we have to deal with. But at the same time, when a person is surrendered to Lord Krishna, then Lord Krishna himself gives his personal protection. So Lord Krishna says in the Gita, Gate Bharta Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Sukhat Prabhava Pralayastanam Nidanam Bijam Avyayam. He says, I am your goal, I am your sustainer, I am your maintainer, I give you my protection, I am your best friend. So Krishna is always there with us. And he also comes and gives his protection in the form of people around us. So when we receive love and care from someone, we have to understand that that is coming from Lord Krishna himself. So now the bull is asking, are you unhappy that the Brahmanas are losing their cultural values and their religious principles? So it is not enough if one is just born as a Brahmana, but one has to maintain those qualities. One has to maintain the Brahmanical principles and the cultural values that have been given to us through our Vedic culture. And then the bull is asking, are you unhappy because all these kings and the administrators, they are so unworthy? So then the bull goes on to say, or Dharma, he goes on to say, the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, he incarnated on this earth to relieve you of your burden. So we know that when we fast forward and go to Canto 10, it begins with Mother Earth feeling the grief, and then she approaches the Devas. Then the Devas go to Lord Vishnu, and then Lord Vishnu says that I will personally incarnate as Krishna in this earth, and I will relieve you of the burden, and that he will kill all the asuras and the demons. So Dharma, or the bull, is now asking, so Lord Krishna was present here when he incarnated on this earth, and now he has left, which we saw in the previous chapters, how Lord Krishna, he goes back to his spiritual abode. So are you really sad? Are you grieving the separation from Lord Krishna because he left you, left the world? So please tell me, what is the root cause of your worry at the moment? So then what happens? Mother Cow, now she replies. Who is Mother Cow? We see that she's representing the earth. So we can see it as Mother Earth speaking. So she's saying, I will tell you why I am worried. And she begins by saying, once you too, and who is the you too? The bull or the Dharma. You too were maintained by the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna. And by his mercy and compassion, we were both maintained. We were both taken care of. That is Dharma and the earth. And here at this juncture, there is a beautiful verse in Srimad Bhagavatam that describes all the wonderful qualities of Lord Krishna. So let's remember, at the beginning, Shaunak Rishi, he said, if there is something relating to Krishna, then we want to hear about it. So as Mother Cow is speaking, she is now speaking about the wonderful qualities of Shri Krishna. And then she's saying, in his absence, the age of Kali is just spreading everywhere. And I am sorry to see this condition. So here, Mother Cow, she describes these qualities of Lord Krishna. So let's just quickly hear a very beautiful verse that describes the beautiful qualities of the Supreme Lord. Satyam Shaucham Daya Kshantis Tyaga Santosha Arjavam Shamo Dhamas Samyam Titiksho Parati Shrutam Jnanam Viraktir Aishwaryam Shauryam Tejo Balam Smritihi Swatantrayam Kaushalam Kantir Dhairyam Mardavam Evacha Prag Shayaशीlam Saha Ojo Balam Bagaha Gambhiryam Stairyam Astikyam Kirtirmano Mahankritihi. So she describes the beautiful qualities of the Lord, such as his truthfulness, his cleanliness, his strength, his self-satisfaction, his equanimity, tolerance, knowledge, absence of sense enjoyment, leadership, discharge of proper duty, complete independence, dexterity, fullness of beauty, kind-heartedness, gentleness, magnanimity, determination, perfection in knowledge, and there are many more. So we know that Lord Krishna has 64 wonderful qualities, and these are all in fullness in the Lord. And it is actually endless. So this is just a number that, we see that's given in our Shastras. And it is as deep as the ocean, it is said in Lord Krishna. So this is another interesting point here. For example, when we go to the beach or when we see the ocean, when we look at the water, we can think of Lord Krishna. When we see the ocean, we can feel, oh, this is Lord Krishna. It is his beauty. Nature is his beauty. And all the qualities in the Lord are present as deep as the ocean. So we can meditate on these points and constantly link ourselves to Krishna. So Mother Cow is now saying that, the Lord who displayed such beautiful qualities, he has finished his pastimes, his leelas, and now he has moved on to his spiritual abode. And now the age of Kali is really so rampant. And I am very sorry to see this. So here, again, we see, Srila Prabhupada's purports are very beautiful. And I would really encourage everyone to please go back here and to read what is, given in these wonderful purports. So here again, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the Varnashram system, of why it is a very scientific system, as we saw the different ashrams of life, from Brahmacharya to Grihasthashram to Vanaprastha to Sannyas, and then the 4 classes of society. They are all there to ultimately raise our consciousness from an animal consciousness to a human consciousness, and then to God consciousness. So that is real human evolution. So there is no point if we are just stuck in the mud like, animals. So it is not about a mockery of the animals, but, animals have their tendencies, their nature. Their consciousness is not that evolved. So what is it that makes that distinction between us and the animals? We have to use our intellect. We have to use our wisdom to guide our feelings. We cannot just act whimsically in life. So Srila Prabhupada explains that, all these, the Varnashram system helps us to develop our consciousness and to evolve. So in the age of Kali, all this was, is just completely disturbed around the world. We can all see that. And then Mother Cow is saying, so Goddess Lakshmi, she gave up her abode in the forest of lotus flowers to serve the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. How beautiful is that? Goddess Lakshmi, from a beautiful forest of lotus flowers, from there she goes to serve the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. Whereas I, that is Mother Earth, she's saying, I was fortunate that I was decorated with the footprints of the Supreme Lord, of the Supreme Lord's lotus feet on her head. So how did that happen? Because when Lord Krishna came to earth, he was walking in the forests, in the grass. He was constantly in touch with Mother Earth. So she was so fortunate that she had the footprints of the lotus feet of the Lord imprinted on her. And here Srila Prabhupada also beautifully explains that only when we are constantly in touch with the lotus feet of the Lord, then we can be happy. We have beauty, we have opulence, we have everything when we have the touch of the Supreme Lord. It is said, Venum Kwanantam Aravinda Dalayataksham Barhavatam Samasitambuda Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So we have to constantly glorify the Supreme Lord by chanting verses, by reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, by hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, by having a daily spiritual routine, by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So when we keep doing these things, then we are constantly in touch with the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Then we can be happy. So here Mother Cow is saying that, in his absence, his lotus feet was always there on me. But now he has left for his spiritual abode, and therefore I am again, being tormented by this age of Kali, and I am so miserable. I'm very sad. So here, Srila Prabhupada explains that this separation between the Supreme Lord and Mother Earth caused her, real anxiety and her worry. So that is what we have to feel as well. The minute we see that, somewhere we are separating ourselves from Lord Krishna, then we experience sadness. We experience that separation. Something goes wrong in our life, or things are not falling into place. So that is why we have to be constantly serving the Lord. We have to constantly engage ourselves in bhakti and be devoted to the Supreme Lord, serve his devotees, and see everything in relation to the Lord. See everything as connected to Krishna. Anything we see around us, it can be the wind or the water or the trees or the moon or our food, everything. If we see, oh, this is Krishna's energy. Oh, Krishna is here. He has had this prasadam, and I'm going to have that which Lord Krishna has eaten. Then we are constantly in relation with the Supreme Lord. And we can also try to engage everyone around us in serving Krishna. Then that way, even our families can become very happy. So that within the families, everyone can serve each other. Husband and wife serve each other. Parents and children serve each other. Brothers and sisters, friends. So when we all work together as a family, serving the Supreme Lord, then there is happiness. Then we don't feel any anxiety or worries. So now we see how the cow, that is Mother Earth, was saying. She says a very beautiful verse. So says, who can tolerate the pangs of separation from the Lord, who conquered the hearts of his queens with his beautiful smiles, his loving glances, and his very happy and hearty appeals towards them. And when he walked on my surface, I was immersed in the dust of his lotus feet, and I was covered with sumptuous grass. And therefore now, when the Lord has returned to his abode, I am feeling that separation, and I am in worry. So at this point of the conversation, we see Maharaj Parikshit arriving there, and he is seeing this incident of the Kali, master of the Kali Yuga, Kali personified, is trying to hurt the bull and the cow. So that will lead us into tomorrow's chapter, chapter 17. So we will end with this beautiful verse that Mother Cow is saying about the Supreme Lord. Shri Krishna. Okay, let us look at this verse and then we will end for today. Kaba saheta viraham purushottamasya prema valoka ruchira smita valkujalpai stairyam samanam aharan madhumaninam romotsavo mamayadam grivitankitaya. So on that beautiful note, we will end our class for today, and tomorrow we will continue into chapter 17. Hare Krishna. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you.